They were the team that broke the curse and nearly broke us in the process. We're talking about the 2004 Boston Red Sox. My name is Joel Beck.
And I'm Chad Konecky, and the premiere episode of Where Were You begins right now.
Hey, where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you when the sports ball thing happened that was awesome or really bad? These guys want to talk about it, Joel and Chad. Did a game change your life? Were you there in the crowd? Did you weep like a baby because you were so proud? Do you have a tattoo or a ritual or two that you actually believe's the reason why they win or lose? Yeah, where were you? Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you for history in the making? Did it make you happy or crazy mad? These guys wanna talk about it, not a single doubt about it. Listen to and talk about it, Joel and Chad.
Hello, world, and welcome to the premiere episode of Where Were You? My name is Joel Beck, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Chad Konecky. Hello, Chad. How are you?
I'm just delighted to be here and excited to get this thing on the road.
We're so excited to be doing this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Chad and I go way back, both personally and professionally. We've worked together. We've experienced a lot of joy and heartache together as sports fans. So first and foremost, again, thank you, Chad. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thanks for the concept. I think it's really going to hit people where they feel it. And I don't mean down below. I mean right here.
And thank you to everyone out there watching and listening, who obviously just can't get enough of a couple of aging white dudes talking about old sports games. Chad, when I came up with the idea for this, I don't even think I told you this. In the very beginning, at the infancy of the idea, I actually took an informal poll, like a national poll, asking Americans what it is that they want from their sports podcasts. Like, what is the one thing that was lacking? And you know what America told me?
I'm curious.
They said, "What do the middle-aged white men have to say? Don't they have a voice?
It's wildly underrepresented market.
Please don't silence them. Why should only their wives and their families get to enjoy hearing them go on and on and on?"
But
But
the concept, it's the concept that you came up with that's going to resonate. I'm telling you.
we
You
don't
should
want to
explain
disappoint
it.
America. Yeah, exactly. So, but
Well,
in all seriousness,
we've already done that.
yes, 100%. But before but in all seriousness, I do want to just talk a little bit about why I started this podcast, why Where Were You even exists, why Chad and I are doing this, and what we hope it will eventually become. So I've been a sports fan. We've both been sports fans pretty much our entire lives, certainly our entire adult lives. For me, baseball has kind of always been the heart of it. This isn't going to just be a baseball podcast. We'll talk about all sports too. But it's never been just about the box scores or the stat lines. It's about the moments. It's about the feeling in your gut when something incredible or devastating happens, where you were, who you were with, and what it meant to you. And that's really the core idea behind the podcast. It's revisiting those unforgettable games, looking at them through the lens of memory, and not just what happened on the field, but what it felt like to witness it. And we're gonna blend all those personal stories, a little humor, a little self-deprecation, a lot of emotion to kind of capture the feeling. And I've really been looking for a way to harness this lifelong passion for a long time, and this felt like the right way to do it. So that's why we're here. That's what the mission is, and we're glad everybody's along for the ride.
I'm glad to be here anyway.
And especially today, our topic today. We're going to be talking about the World Championship run of the 2004 Boston Red Sox. And Chad, you and I, like our friendship, you and I personally, I feel like our friendship was forged around that season and in those games. Wouldn't you
100%.
agree? Yeah.
Yeah. The couple years leading up to it and then ever after, I 100% agree.
I mean, we used to work together at an old community newspaper company, and we had adjoining cubicles, and this is kind of what we bonded over. And I don't know if people I don't know if people even remember what what it was like to be a Red Sox fan pre 2004 anymore. It's certainly not like the generation that's come since. Nobody will understand what it was like, just the fever pitch, if you will, the emotion and the stress of it all.
Yeah. I mean, I think anyone who was age 15 to 60, 20 years ago would be the folks who will really feel the hurt and the almost astonishment that the hurt was finally over.
Yeah, it was. I would say, and tell me if you agree, that in 2000 by 2004, while the end result was satisfying and cathartic and full of emotion, the process getting there was not fun. Would you say? It, it was it was the time I think in my life where I was most questioning my choices as a sports fan. I kept telling myself there's got to be other hobbies. There's got to be other things out there that because we just took it so seriously, and we wanted that long championship drought to end so badly, and the way that it kept going on with the
Exactly.
Yankees, it was too much to handle. So
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just that we couldn't win it, it was the way we couldn't win it. That was so awful, which is why I think this is the quintessential opening episode, because this is the quintessential
yeah,
"Where were you?" for, like, I don't know how many states there are in New England. Is it 6, 7? But, like, for an entire region, this is a
yeah.
"Where were you?" for people, a lot of people who are still alive.
And I think we knew at the time that this was going to be once it happened. It's been 21 years. We knew that these were going to be the defining moments, are the defining moment for us as Red Sox fans, and we were going to be talking about this for the rest of our lives. So
Absolutely.
now let's get right into it, because
Here we go.
spoiler alert for anybody who may not know or has been in a coma. I'm going to spoil the ending. The Red Sox won the 2004 World Series.
Wait, what?
You
Wait,
were aware of that, weren't you, Chad? You
wait, hold on. Hold the phone. Yes, and,
so the name of the show is Where Were You? So Chad, where were you when the Red Sox won?
right, and so there's so many where were yous associated, not just with the '04 run, and we're gonna talk about this, the time leading up to the '04
Oh yes.
run. There's so many snapshots, but they're, like, almost photo negative burned into my memory, almost entirely of horror,
Yes.
um, but when they won, when
Yes.
they won,
When the ball
and
gets back to Keith Folk and he lobs it over to Doug Minkiewicz.
yeah,
Where were you?
so I was in, believe it or not, a kind of gritty dive bar, which is almost impossible to believe, in Manchester by the Sea, which is the whitest and richest town in Massachusetts. But it was the one gritty dive bar where I would allow myself to watch this game. And
Is
so,
this the same
yeah,
place that is this place is gonna come up again later? You and I went.
yeah,
I know the place you're
same
talking about.
place,
Yes.
same place.
Yes. Yes.
And in contrast to those 2 games we watched earlier in the postseason, we were everybody was standing the whole time. So
Yeah.
it was pretty amazing.
So you were out in public, out in the wild with a bunch of other Red Sox fans enjoying. And what was
Yeah,
the
I
and
was actually
people were
there
just
with
going crazy.
a guy you know, and another journalist and a longtime journalist, now a PR guy, because that's the only way journalists can make money. And and John McElhenney was there, and
Hi, John.
it was weird that you weren't there, to be
I
honest,
know.
but it was great. It was great.
Well, I was out. I was actually out too. I was at a bar called in Somerville, Mass, called R.F. O'Sullivan's. I does that still exist? Is it still there?
I believe it closed, like, 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, they were known for their burgers. They had good burgers.
Yeah.
That was their thing. So I was there. I met some friends there. My wife was there, and we met a bunch of people there, and we watched it, and it was great because, I on one hand, I loved being with in a crowded scenario like that with everybody who was so happy and just, the energy was through the roof. I I do remember though wanting a small part of me wishing that I was at home because I wanted to soak in every part of the broadcast. I wanted
Oh,
to see
yeah.
every little bit. I wanted to just enjoy seeing it on TV, and the TVs at RF O'Sullivan's weren't that big. I think they just had a couple like over the bar, and people were it was kind of a struggle to see. I had to sit and kind of, I'm a tall guy, so I could see over people, but it was great. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. I loved it. And of course we were all happy and just leaving Somerville that night. And it's just a cacophony of horns blaring. And I'm glad I got to enjoy that because it was the moment that you dream about that you think is never going to happen. And it happened. It was
Right. And in terms of painting a picture for people, when you talk about broadcast television back then, I'm pretty sure we didn't have HD. Um, I'm almost positive we didn't have HD, and also, like, there were still 19-inch TVs hanging around in bars,
100%. Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
just talking to someone the other day, and I was like, "What does a 19-inch TV go for today? $3,000?" 'Cause you can't find one.
No. Yeah. They make iPhones that are 19 inches now. You can just, keep it in your pocket. But it was a great time to be alive, 2004, and, man, I mean, and it's never really, and we've been so spoiled ever since then. The Red Sox have won, 3 more championships since then, and it's been an unprecedented run of success, but that was it. That was the one that everybody's always gonna remember. So, I wanna go back to the night that Aaron Boone hit the home run, that shattered the hearts of Red Sox fans everywhere. Uh, do you remember where you were when that happened, I assume? I I remember where I was, but I actually had the fortune or misfortune, I guess fortune, of not actually seeing the moment take place. I think the universe actually did me a solid. I was out of the country. I was actually on my honeymoon in Italy, when that happened, and I remember I knew the series had tied 3-3. I think we left to go overseas after game 5. So game 6, they won.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see any of that. Game 7, I didn't know anything about it. I'm sitting in my hotel room in Florence, Italy, watching it's the Italian ESPN. And all it is a s it's just a string of soccer scores for I'm not kidding you, a half an hour. A half hour of Italian soccer scores scrolling through the screen until finally they got to the Major League Baseball playoffs and the ALCS, and all I see is the score. I see New York Yankees 5, Red Sox 4, game 7. Um, Game ended in 11 innings, and
Yeah.
I was, of course, just crestfallen. I didn't know, but what I had to do just as a and so I could at least enjoy the remainder of my honeymoon and to just for self-preservation is I concocted a false narrative in my head that the Red Sox had actually battled back somehow, and they actually, you know, the game went into extra innings. Well, they must have fought valiantly until the end, and I'm sure they must have been losing, and then they came back and tied it up, and then they just fell through. That isn't what happened.
No.
I don't
Grady
know who.
Grady Little happened.
Yes, we we don't need to rehash it again, but I will never forget. Then I spent 4 days in Italy after that. Still not there were no iPhones then. There was no I didn't really have access even to the internet. I suppose I could have gone to an internet cafe, or I could have I could have found out somehow, but I didn't know until I got back into the United States about 4 days afterwards that how they lost and how heartbreaking it was. So, it was
Yeah,
just
and it
was too
was.
much to handle.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can't even imagine what it was like to watch on, Italian Scroll. Is Italian Scroll, do they gesture a lot? Does the scroll
There's
actually
a
bounce
lot
up and
of
down?
gesture.
Like but
What, do
but
I want to go into
no,
some
my question.
Italian stereotypes? No.
No, come on. So, what I experienced was live, of course, and what I remember about that was one being on my knees, wearing a red sequin top hat, because it was just like no, I had a gathering of folks, and we thought that would be a good luck charm, like kind of the ultimate rally cap, and of course. I'm on my knees in a living room, a house I bought with my brother, and it was almost like a blue shag carpet. It was almost shag, and on my knees. And I remember just the one thing I really remember is I have never hated the Yankees more than I hate them right now, and it was twofold. One, that was a really likable as 04 team was, and they were
Yeah.
more likable. The 'O
Yeah.
03 team was super likable. And I just felt awful for the late Tim Wakefield, because he was a
I
hero,
still can't believe
and
he's gone. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He would have been the
So
MVP
that's
of
my
that series if they had won.
oh, yeah.
Important question.
That's
Do you still have the red sequined hat? Please say yes.
I I believe it is in the attic.
Yeah.
I know I kept it
No.
for a long time, and I know it took a really long time to get the sequins off my bald head.
I think if it doesn't make an appearance on this podcast, it's going to be a problem.
No,
I think we need to
I'll
say
make
it.
it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. So 2003, Aaron Boone hits the home run. Now, fast forward, 7 years later, Chad, you and I had a shared Aaron Boone experience, which so to give people some background, Chad and I have worked for almost 2 decades now on the Gatorade Player of the Year program, which is the nation's leading sports awards program for high school athletes. And it's a nationwide award in all 50 states and 12 different sports. And that year, in the year 2010, we gave the award to a kid named Dylan Bundy, who went on to have a very nice Major League Baseball career. And he was from Owasso, Oklahoma. And when they would do these events, when they would present the kids with with the award, they always hired and brought in a pro athlete to surprise the kid at his school with the award. And uh, the year that Dylan Bundy won, the guest presenter happened to be Chad.
One Aaron Boone, now the manager
Aaron.
of the New York Yankees.
Chad is the national director of the Gatorade Player of the Year program, and I was one of the regional directors. But I helped handle the baseball selection, so we both got to go to Oklahoma to give this award to Dylan Bundy, and also meet Aaron Boone. And the minute, Chad, I still remember the moment you told me that Aaron Boone was going to be the guest presenter, and I immediately started to have heart palpitations because I just
He's the guy. He's
I
the guy.
was he was the guy. So fast forward, we get. And by the way, I also want to say this. Once we got there, I cannot stress enough how nice a guy Aaron Boone was. He was so great. He was so great. And he, a lot of times when the pro athletes come and do these events, they would do the event, and it was always awesome, but they didn't always stick around long. For no fault of their own, they're busy and they have stuff to do. Aaron Boone sat with us in a high school conference room for like 5 hours, just hanging out and being cool, eating sandwiches and drinking sweet tea. And but I remember
I
when I
I hated how nice he was.
I
I
hated how
hated
nice
how
he
nice.
was. Yeah, right. Because I remember when I walked into the conference room and he was sitting there and I said hi to you and I said hi to everybody and I kind of sat down and I kind of look at Aaron Boone and I had this feeling of like for one thing, anxiety because it was exciting. It was exciting to meet a Major League Baseball player who I know, but it kind of felt like coming face to face with your abuser a little bit, you know, not to make light of abuse
No,
or people who go through serious things,
obviously not.
but it was kind of like, hello, Mr. Boone.
You're the guy.
Do you know what you did to me? And so
Well,
I would say like about an hour into that day, after I, I finally like worked up the courage to tell Aaron Boone this like story about on my honeymoon and how he ruined my honeymoon because I that's where I found out that he had hit the home run to beat the Red Sox, and he was very gracious about it, and he actually signed a copy of the Red Sox DVD from that season that said sorry about the honeymoon, and I have that in a closet here somewhere. So he was fan. So I guess all is forgiven is what I'm trying to say. So
he was super classy, and I thought it was genius of you to ask him to sign the DVD, and he was creative to pen the phrase he did. But we did get him back a little bit just as we were walking to the parking lot. Uh, I don't remember, it was the night before or the night we met him, and we watched Andres Galarraga lose his perfect game. I think was that. Am I
yeah,
wrong about that? Anyway,
I think that was a different year, but
okay,
we'll save that
never
for
mind.
another episode of Where Were You?
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't stay tuned. But but no, walking in the parking lot, and I just still felt a little sadistic pleasure in saying to Aaron Boone as he was talking about his golf game. I said, "So Aaron, what do you reckon? Like top 0.5% in the world hand-eye coordination? Play Major League Baseball for as long as you
Yeah,
have?" It's
that's
like,
fair.
"Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you can say that." And I'm like, "So let me just ask. You're able to hit a ball traveling 95 miles an hour or over with movement, pitched from 60 feet away at you, and yet you've got a ball just sitting there motionless, and you kind of suck."
Talking about his
And
golf game.
he,
You're talking about right?
he was, yes, his golf game, and
Yeah,
he was very classy about. He
that's very
laughed
classy
and was
about it.
very
Yeah,
classy about saying, "Yeah, thanks for reminding me."
yeah. All right, so I want to switch gears to a segment on this podcast that I wanted to call the moment you wanted to kill yourself. So now my 17-year-old daughter told me when I told her that we were going to have a segment on the show called the moment you wanted to kill yourself. She said,
Oh,
"Dad,
sure.
you can't say that, Dad." She's like, "Dad." She's like, "I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking about, but
Right.
people take it seriously. So
Sure.
leave it to my 17-year-old to give me sensitivity training." But so
No,
just to be
we need it.
clear,
We need it.
we didn't want to kill ourselves, but we kind of did. We kind of
Kinda did.
a little bit. What was let me tell you what my moment was. It
Okay.
happened during the 2004 ALCS against the Yankees, and it was in Game 5, which
Oh,
was
wow, okay.
the 14 inning marathon. I watched this game with you, in fact, at the same seedy bar in Manchester by the Sea
Sure.
that you referred to earlier. It actually, fun facts, it was the day I met your wife, your soon to be wife. You guys you weren't even engaged yet, I think.
No,
But I literally met her that day at that bar, and here we are. We're like family now, 21 years later. So,
absolutely.
but that wasn't the moment I wanted to kill myself. The moment, and by the way, she was wonderful, and I knew then that she was a keeper. So there you
Way
have
better than Aaron Boone.
it.
Way
Yeah,
better.
way better than Aaron Boone, but he's nice. Um, the moment I wanted to kill
If you
myself
like nice.
happened again with poor Tim Wakefield. May he rest in peace.
Oh,
Still can't
dang,
believe that guy's gone.
you
But
froze.
it's when he came into pitch and Jason Varitek was catching in the 13th inning. And as you recall, Jason Varitek, a legitimate major league all-star catcher, captain of the team, could not for the life of him catch Tim Wakefield's knuckleball. And there were in that, I think it was the 13th inning, where he had about 3 pass balls that got by, including somebody struck out and got on a pass ball, and then there was another pass
Okay.
ball, and the runners moved up, and there were runners at first and third or second and third, and it was the moment where where it hit me that not only do we have to worry about this prolific New York Yankees offense that can put up 19 runs in the blink of an eye, that had bludgeoned the. Now I'm worried. I hope Jason Varitek can just catch the ball, like, and that a major league catcher can just catch a pitched ball from a pitcher. I I remember getting downright punchy about it. I don't know if you remember, but I think I started, like, wheeze laughing a little bit at the absurdity that, like,
Yes.
I can't take this. I
Yes.
can't
You
take this
did.
anymore. I wish
Uh-oh.
this is how they're gonna lose. This is how it's gonna
You
this
still
is
see
the
me?
most Red Sox thing ever. This is the most Red Sox thing ever. They're gonna lose because Jason Varitek can't catch a knuckleball. That's how it's gonna happen. And I envisioned it happening.
I'm pretty sure you got out of your chair more than once.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember looking around, I'm like, "What is going on?" Like,
is
I
the fix in? Is the
it's the
fix in?
they're gonna I can't believe this is happening. Amazingly, they got out of it. Varitek held on to the third strike. I think Ruben Sierra struck out to end the inning. And I remember I go every time I see, sometimes I'll watch YouTube clips from that game and that inning, and as soon as Wakefield got the strikeout to end the inning, I remember they zoom in on this guy on the stands who had a look on his face that was exactly how I felt. It was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. So he was done. He was cooked. And that's how I felt. And that was the moment I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah, you know what? That is such a great memory. I had completely forgotten about the past balls, and now as soon as
Yeah.
you said Veritek, I was like, "Oh my god." It was like,
Yeah.
I think 3, and it's a whole reason Doug Mirabelli really was on that team was to catch Wakefield.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And
So,
and it was just wasn't in that moment, in those extra innings, it wasn't gonna happen, and, uh,
what was your
that is
moment?
such an yeah, no, it's so much better than mine.
Oh,
Mine
no.
involves Red Sox pitching earlier in the series, right? So, um, we had beaten the Angels in just, yeah, a resounding fashion, and we were hot from August, from the Nomar trade in August,
Yeah.
well, July 31st on. We were hot and almost caught the Yankees for the division title, and then we roasted
Correct.
a very good Angels team. And so I'm thinking, I know Schilling got hurt in the Angels series, and he hurt his ankle, but he was gonna pitch game 1 of the World Series. So it's my yeah, the moment was twofold. It was a Red Sox pitching, anecdote and a Yankees pitching anecdote. It was mostly a Yankees pitching anecdote, but in game 1, Schill, coming off an injury in the divisional series, gets lit up, and I was so crestfallen because it meant that Derek Lowe was probably gonna have to pitch for Schill, and Schill, the ace, was out, and it was just like, I don't know if we could win
Bronson
this series.
Arroyo was going to come in at some point, or
Yeah, I don't know if
Curtis
we could win this
Leskanic,
series.
or
Curtis Leskanic, and I didn't know if we could win a series without Schill. I was very skeptical that we could win a series without Schill, but then in game
yeah.
2, a guy named John Lieber,
Right.
who's
Right.
like a 500 career pitcher,
He looked like
pitching.
a plumber too. He just had this look about him, like the guy he looked like the guy who would come and knock on your door and be like, "Oh, I'm here to fix the sink." He didn't look like an athlete, and yeah, he couldn't. Red Sox couldn't get a hit off him in game 2.
No, and I think he pitched 7 innings of 3-hit ball. I don't know why
Yeah,
that number sticks out, but, I remember I wanted to kill myself in innings like 4, 5, 6, and 7 going, "How is a guy named John Lieber shutting down this prolific offense?" And I thought to myself, "Well, we can't win if John Lieber's shutting us out."
yeah.
I
I
wanted to
agree.
kill him.
I think games 1 and 2 were actually more demoralizing than game 3 when they lost 19-8 and were down 3 when
Agreed.
they're down 3 games to none because they were favored going into that series. And so when they lost the first 2 games, we were like, yes, that was way more demoralizing. When they got blown out in game 3, I think we were almost kinda half resigned. They're like, "Well, what do this
Yeah.
this is it." But the other moment I have like a 1 and a 1A moment I wanted to I didn't wanna say I wanted to kill myself, but it was I gotta stop saying I wanted to kill myself. For the record, I did not wanna kill myself. But the other moment that I was just so dejected, was actually it was the inning of the Dave Roberts steal. The top of the ninth, game 4, they're down 4-3, and I will never forget the feeling of sitting there. Mariano Rivera came into pitch, and Mariano Rivera is everybody knows this, one of the 3 most terrifying pitchers I can recall in my life. And when you saw Mariano Rivera warming up in the bullpen, you might as well go home.
It was over.
So so he came into the game, and I sat there. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody else, all the smart people in the house had gone to bed. I was the only one left that was still paying any attention to the game, and I sat there on my couch with my finger on the remote control on the power button, ready to turn it off the second Mariano Rivera recorded the final out of the ninth inning, because I did not want to watch a minute of celebration on our field. That the season that had such high hopes. I didn't. I never, as you know, I never hit the power button. The moment never
No.
came. So
That '04 team really had Mariano's number. I mean,
yeah,
I think he saved. I think we won 11 of 19 games against them that year, and I think he saved like 2 or 3 or maybe more of the wins for the Yankees wins. But like we beat him like
yeah,
at least 3 times.
couple of times. Yeah. All right. So the next segment that I want to talk about is this is something that this is a very specific feeling. I'm going to call this the Incredible Hulk moment.
Love
It's
that.
it's the moment, uh, and I've only experienced. I don't know how to describe this feeling. Um, it's a very specific feeling of just sheer adrenaline that comes from pure elation and excitement when something happens. Yeah. Even the only way I call it the Incredible Hulk moment, because it's that in the old Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk TV series where his eyes turn green and the muscles would start to bulge, and it's almost an out of body experience. And
Yeah,
I can count on one hand the number of times I've felt it.
100%.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know if I did in this. No, I did. There was one in this particular series, but do you have one? What is yours?
I do, and it's when A-Rod slapped the ball uh, and I think this is game 6.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and he slapped the ball out of the first baseman's hand, right? Or was
Yeah,
it the pitcher
it
covering?
it was out of Arroyo's hand.
It was
It
out
was
of Arroyo's hand.
the pitcher was going to
Yeah.
he was running over to tag him, and he slapped it with his left hand out of, Bronson Arroyo's.
And
Yeah,
initial call was safe, and,
right.
um, I was so it went from being like, "There's no way he did you can't do that."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they reversed the call, and I can't remember if it was a double play or just he was out, but,
He
um,
was out. Jeter had scored from first on that
that's
play,
it.
and they
That's it.
made Jeter go all the way back to first. And
That's it.
you're right. It was so that's where these Incredible Hulk moments come from. They always come for me, they always come from when all hope is lost to all of a sudden it is turned around. And yes, you're right. That's actually a great one, because
I just couldn't believe that the call was reversed and went our way, and it was such an A-Rod moment, like, A-Rod thing to do.
Yes, yeah. Oh god. And that was one of 2 times in that game where the umpires convened. This is before they did replay, before they did,
Yes.
and the umpire twice it happened to the Red Sox. It was one was on a Mark Bellhorn home run. By the way, I could do an entire podcast about Mark Bellhorn if we ever have some exclusive content that we wanna do on the side. We'll have Mark Bellhorn was my binky that year, and I loved Mark
I love
Bellhorn.
that, man. I
We'll
love
save that for another podcast. More on Bellhorn tomorrow. Next week, Bellhorn. I think I didn't even think of that one. That was a great one. I think I'd have to say uh, Ortiz's game-winning hit in Game 5. Not so much the one in Game 4, the walk-off home run after even the Dave Roberts steal. I didn't have it because we didn't know how it was going to shake out
Yeah.
at that point.
Was
But
what voicemail did you leave me after Ortiz did a bloop single
I did.
in game 4?
I do remember that.
Game 5.
I
No, it was game 4.
It was after Game 4, and I think I called you up, and we still didn't realistically think that the Red Sox were going to win the series, but I called you up after the Game 4 win, and I said only 124 more outs to the World Series, and or whatever number it was, and because that's how it felt. It just felt like it was such this insurmountable
Yes.
mountain that they had to climb just to get past the New York friggin' Yankees.
Perfect.
But they did it. They did it. So,
Yeah.
is there a moment in this season, and it doesn't even have to be about the Yankee series. It could be anything, the World Series, the regular season itself. Was there a moment that you think is a moment that nobody talks about, the one that kind of went under the radar, that that uh, that set the stage
Mm.
for what was to come?
Oh, wow. So now that you open the door to the regular season, that
Yeah,
um makes it harder because I thought it was a season of such ebb and flow.
right.
And I think this is I'll give you 2 answers. One, regular season, I think the thing a lot of people have pointed to was when uh Arroyo hit A-Rod, and he took issue with it, and Veritek stuffed his glove in the face,
I mean,
and they
that's become the hallmark moment. I mean, it's I have a picture of that in my garage that's hanging. I mean, it's yeah, that image is forever ingrained in everybody's minds, I believe. So
and it was just it did ignite that team, and it did finally symbolize, you know what? We're not gonna take it anymore.
100%.
It's finally where it was like, we're not gonna take this lying down anymore, guys. And but in a World Series, this is a subtle one. And what I did was I watched um Faith Rewarded, which is the
Yes,
series
the net
about
the Nesson documentary about it that
yeah.
came out. Yes, right.
And I'm not cheating because I do remember this, but Wakefield, the GOAT of '03, pitched 3 scoreless innings in relief in Game 5 to set up the Poppy walk-off, the
Yeah,
second Poppy walk-off. And
right.
people don't talk about that too much. I mean, people don't talk about the fact that I think Derek Lowe won the clinching game of every one of
Of
those
every single game, yeah, unbelievable. That guy will be a folk hero in Boston till the day he dies. Right.
right? So, I mean, either one of those, like, if you ask even a above average Red Sox fan, what's a moment, I don't think they would remember either of those.
Yeah. The moment that I think that nobody talks about and maybe even mentioned was in the game where Dave Roberts in his famous steal of second base after he stole second, and now he's on second with nobody out, and Bill Miller was batting. If you remember, he squared to bunt,
Did not
because
remember that.
he did. He squared to bunt because obviously, they just need one run to tie, and Dave Roberts, who ran like the wind, they wanted to get him over to third.
Yeah. There's
So
nobody out. Nobody out.
nobody out. So Miller squares to bunt, and then he pulls the bat back, and he doesn't bunt at the first pitch thrown by Rivera. A part of me wonders if on the very next pitch, if Rivera actually thought that Bill Miller was still going to bunt, because as you know, Mariano Rivera, he never threw a pitch straight down the middle. He
No,
had that
what?
nasty cutter that always darted into left-handed hitters, especially. And but the next pitch he threw to Bill Miller was middle down the plate, and I think even Al Leiter was one of the color commentators that year. He was still a player, and he did an amazing job. Go back and listen to Al Leiter sometime.
Yeah.
on that. But he mentioned it. He said maybe Mariano thought that he was bunting because he threw this ball right down the middle, and I think he wanted Miller to bunt it right back to him so that
Yeah,
they could.
that I remember. I remember
Right.
Leiter's comment.
Yes, and he said, I think Mariano thought he was, but it's one of these things that went under the radar because, of course, he didn't bunt, and he swings away, and he hits the ball up the middle, and Dave Roberts scores, and the rest is history. But people remember they remember the steal, they remember Bill Miller getting the hit, but I don't know if they remember that kind of that gamesmanship that went on in the immediate moments leading up to it, and it always fascinated me. So, final thoughts about the 2004 Red Sox, Chad. What's on your mind? I mean, when you look at what's the number one thing you think about when you think about the 2004 Red Sox?
Yeah. I mean, I think when the comebacker went to Keith Folk and he underhanded it to first, and it was all over. There definitely was it was exactly dissectable, split in half emotional moment. One was this actually just happened,
Yeah.
like almost disbelief, but also knowing it happened. And then the other part was like, what do I do now?
Yeah, right. Right. That was a thing that people worried about was, that the Red Sox fans were going to lose their identity. The centuries, the century of heartache and the decades of being the lovable losers. I remember people actually talking about like, oh, it's not going to be the same anymore. And I just remember thinking, yeah, you're right. It isn't. And that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to be a normal sports fan. I just wanted to experience the same things that other sports fans got to experience. I live in Cleveland, Ohio now. I see it here every day with the people here between the
Sure.
Browns and the Guardians, and they got one with the Cavs, but I see that desperation to not feel like it's not a good identity it doesn't feel good for the people who live here, the losing every year, and you just want that catharsis to happen, and we were lucky enough that we had it happen. So
No, you turned me around on this the other day. I was thinking, geez, we were just another good team after that, a really good team actually. And then you're right. It's we didn't have to be those people anymore.
no, it wasn't fun. It made me want to check out of being a baseball fan, and I love it so much. It got so stressful, and it's so demoralizing that it almost wasn't fun anymore. And the 2004 Red Sox are the ones that ended all of that. They finally
Yeah.
made it. Now here the highs are still high. The lows are no longer as low as they once were. And it's going to be like that for the rest of our lives. And it's because of that team. Like they've won 3 championships since. I've enjoyed every single one of them. And I still get sky high for those, but the lows aren't low anymore. It's so you can shrug it off a little bit like, well, I'm going to go back and watch the 2004 DVD now. So,
Yeah.
you know.
And we've won 4 world championships in the last generation. It's not so bad.
Chad, let's look ahead. So this is episode number 1. We've got episode number 2 coming up in 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, on Wednesday, August 27th, we're just, we still get to do some Yankee bashing. Do you remember what episode 2 is going to be about?
I do. Is it the '01 World Series?
The 2001 World Series between the New York Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's going to be the subject of our another quintessential Where Were You? The fact that it was centered so much around 9/11, which is the ultimate "Where were you" moment of our generation. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about just the World Series itself, which is just bonkers. The games themselves. If you really go back and watch some of those games or the highlights of them, it is maybe one of the most bonkers World Series that's happened in my lifetime. It was back and forth and up and down and amazing. So that's going to be in 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about that.
So much to talk about it on that
Much to talk
one.
about.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Real quick, Chad, social media and on the interwebs, where can people find us?
Yeah, that's an excellent question and important to answer. So I'm still memorizing this, so I might be reading a little bit, but on social media, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for Where Were You Podcast. X, or Twitter if you prefer, at RealWWY, Instagram at RealWWY Podcast, TikTok at RealWWY Podcast. As far as where to actually see and hear us, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you normally get your podcasts.
Very good. Real quick, some people to thank. First and foremost, I want to thank our musical director, who just happens to be my amazingly talented sister, Molly Beck Ferguson, who wrote and recorded our original theme song. I can't believe we actually have an original theme song that we've all been singing in my house for the last couple of weeks.
Same here.
Stuck in our heads. Also, thanks to my wonderful wife, Melissa, my daughters, Abby and Lucy. They've all served as de facto executive producers for this show since its inception, giving me all kinds of support and advice along the way. And of course, to you, my co-host, Chad Konecky. There isn't anybody else I'd rather be doing the show with. You were the first person I thought of when I came up with the idea. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you thought of me because this is going to be a lot of fun. And the hope is that that translates to anyone who pays attention.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we have. For my co-host, Chad Konecky, I'm Joel Beck. This is Where Were You? So long, folks.
See you next time.